Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Xbox Casuals, the Xbox podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is Obsidian's #1 fan, Josh Finney.
Oh, you're goddamn right.
How's it going, Josh? How are you?
It's going good. It has been a week.
Yeah. That's an understatement of the year.
It has been a week, my friend. But it's also been a good week though.
Yeah? Why has it been a good week, Josh? Did you finally recover from the trade?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. It's getting worse. I'm about to be alone with my thoughts for a week during the All-Star break. It's never good. For anybody who likes sports, I urge you to go listen to the latest episode of the Bill Simmons pod. Him and Brian Curtis talk about who should play who in a fictionalized rendition of this trade from the people who did the people against, I think, is it the people against OJ? It was whoever made the OJ series starring Cuba Gooding Jr. They were like Brian Murphy. What if Ryan Murphy made a miniseries based on this, and it was just over dramatized who should play who? And there were some very funny choices for Mark Cuban, and they said that Chris Pratt should put all the Parks and Rec weight back on in order to play the owner of the Mavericks. That was pretty funny. It's good. It's good.
He could just wear a rubber fat suit at this point.
Man, it was very cathartic. Brian Curtis, for those who don't know, is somebody who born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and like a lot of us, is a lifelong fan. He literally, has been a fan since the Mavericks were created, and he was like, I have never seen this. I have never seen the city of Dallas like this over any athlete, let alone anybody in North American sports like this over an athlete. Bro, the fact that we had signs out there at a protest about this saying JFK was treated better than Luka kind of speaks volumes. Yeah, they're insinuating that JFK was treated better by the city of Dallas. So,
jeez,
dude, it's bad. Shit's real bad, man. We're kicking fans out for chanting "Fired Nico," the general manager. They can't even do karaoke cam anymore because people were doing that. They zoomed away so fast you would think a dude was flashing the arena on camera. It was that bad. So,
jeez.
It's been a couple of interesting weeks there, but other than my basketball woes, the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl.
They did lose the Super Bowl.
Incredibly happy about that. Kendrick Lamar had one of the greatest halftime performances of all time. Just straight up, that fucking smirk right as he goes into the part that everybody knows in Not Like Us is just diabolical. It's diabolical. I love it. Jalen Hurts is like the most unimpressed MVP of all time of the Super Bowl, I think. Like, he just truly does not give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, he clearly does not want to be there and just wants to go home.
Yeah.
The video of him riding the Tron coaster at Disney World is hilarious because he is so uncomfortable being filmed and just wants to go home.
Jeez.
What else? What else happened this week? I am playing Avowed.
Nice.
We're gonna talk a little Avowed tonight. I am about 2 hours. I got 2 hours in this afternoon, so I just have real surface level brief impressions. But that has come out to pretty decent reviews. I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh my god, it's it's what we always needed for Xbox, but it's got an 80 on Metacritic as of this recording. That's not bad.
That's not terrible.
No, I want to emphasize an 80 is good. We are so warped that anything that's like below a 90 on Metacritic, people just deem as trash. A lot of your most beloved exclusives of the last two generations have been in that 80 to 85 range, including Ghost of Tsushima, which I think a lot of us felt was probably the game of the year in 2020. Had an 83 on Metacritic when it came out. So I will say it's a little baffling to me that this game scored lower than Starfield. overall. That was really weird to me. I'll tell you right now, from playing 2-3 hours of this is a much better Starfield. This game is like if Bethesda wasn't just pure jank nowadays. You could have put this in front of me and said the Skyrim team worked on this, and I would have believed you. I would have believed you. This feels like a spiritual successor to Skyrim in a lot of ways. Again, I'm not going to run around and lie to you and be like, oh, it's the greatest thing I've ever played. I'm only a couple hours in. There's really not like a super big main plot line yet. And the reviews from major outlets are kind of all over the place. I think GameSpot gave it a 6. IGN gave it a 7. VG247 gave it a 10. Eurogamer gave it a 4 out of 5. There are some choice reviews out there, though.
This seems kind of all over the place.
It is very all over the place, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's fun.
Look, if you're having a great time, Josh, that's all that matters, you know?
Yeah, I really think I was calling it Skyrim Light to a lot of my friends. But I think that's even disingenuous because the quests, the side quests I've done already are already deeper than just about anything I got outside of like faction quests in Skyrim. This feels very much like it almost feels like a spiritual successor to Oblivion in a lot of ways. It's open world, but not like oppressively so, at least not yet. Like the opening area you're in is pretty decently big. I've already found one side quest that I'm like, oh, hey, I love this. This is actually a really cool side quest. It's already an hour and a half in, already forced me to like look at creatures a different way. Like, oh, I've been like just massacring this race as I've been fighting them. And then, oh shit, like, this one's not trying to kill me. This one's trying to communicate with me instead. And it's very cool. Like the rabbit hole you go down with that is really cool. It's one of the earliest side quests you can pick up in the main port. Or at least in the first port you get to. It's a good game. It's good so far. Hopefully in 2 weeks I can give you all a full review, but right now, Avowed good. Avowed really good.
Avowed really good.
Avowed really good. If you have Game Pass, obviously it goes without saying. If you have Game Pass, it's gonna be, you need to be playing this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, it's not going to be for everyone. I need people to understand this is not for everyone.
That's fair. I mean,
if you don't like Skyrim, you're probably not going to like this. If you don't like Elder Scrolls style games, you're not going to like this. Like, so basically, if you don't like anything Bethesda's ever made, this is not going to be a game for you. I think Outer Worlds is probably the better game, but this has the potential to be the more interesting world, and I think that's because Eora is an established universe.
Yeah.
Whereas Outer Worlds had to establish a brand new universe. I expect Outer Worlds 2 to be, high quality later on this year. But the story team behind this is really good. I really, really like the story team here. One of the key writers on the game was formerly one of the writers on the Mass Effect trilogy and on Dragon Age Origins. That's really cool. Carrie Patel is on this. For those who don't know, Carrie Patel got her start working under Josh Sawyer and on Pillars 2, I believe. Pillars 2, and I believe she was on Outer Worlds as well. Stepped in to be the director during one of the reboots on this. And then there's another writer who like specifically came to Obsidian just to work on this game. So there's a few good ones, and I did not know this until today. The person who co-wrote Pentiment with Josh Sawyer is also one of the lead writers on this game. So that's nice. Cool. Like basically, his disciples essentially, even though he's not directly involved in this, he, his fingerprints are still kind of all over it, which is what you want to hear. That was his baby, was Pillars. So cool. I'm hoping that I connect with the companions. I've only got one of them so far. Not super thrilled with him.
Is it the green guy that they show in the
trailer? Yeah. Oh God, I literally cannot remember his name yet. Kai is his name. And Kai's not a bad character. It's just I haven't found anything out about him yet, really. I really like the two characters you meet in the tutorial area. They're really cool, and then they're not companions. So, go figure.
Go figure.
Go figure. It's not bad. It's not great. We'll see. We'll see. But this right now, very promising start.
Very promising start. Write it down, Josh says. No, that's good though. I'm glad it turned out. It's it's funny because it's actually like from what you're saying, I'm like, yeah, that checks out. Everything that you're saying checks out. Sounds exactly what I expected it to be.
It very much follows a lot of what the reviews are saying, or previews were saying, I guess I should say. It seemed to preview pretty decently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect of some of these outlets. Like, clearly the people who are reviewing it were not the ones who are previewing it. And I think, like, if you're an Obsidian fan or you're a Xbox fan, you're probably more predispositioned to give this a bit of a higher score.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as a Western RPG experience goes, this is perfectly enjoyable. So I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I think there's some challenge there in terms of the combat. Not that the combat is like hard to do, but just in terms of like, oh, things are beating my ass.
Right.
So
let me ask you this, Josh.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of people. Let me back up. Do you think the popularity of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 hindered this game at all?
No.
You don't?
Not even a little bit.
Okay. I heard that kind of floating around a little bit on a couple things, and I was like, I don't even know if they're like the same game.
I mean, you're welcome to think that for sure, and I think that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is probably the more in-depth game, just from everything I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna sit here and parade around like I didn't play Kingdom Come, the first Kingdom Come. I haven't played this one. The reviews I've seen for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 have basically said, hey, this may be like one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Like, this is just straight up, like, in terms of how long it is, how detailed it is. Cool. Like, we've known since last PAX that this was going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone's really prepared for it to be this big. It's reviewed really, really well. And this game, I feel, is kind of like Obsidian's other games that don't have the word Fallout on them.
Yeah.
It's destined to be a cult classic. So I think it's another, so far, review wise, from everything we're hearing, it really seems like it's another strong entry for Xbox, kind of continuing that momentum that they got starting back in September with the Age of Mythology remaster, Black Ops, Flight Sim, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, of course, and then Avowed. Like, this doesn't hit the highs of Great Circle, obviously.
Right.
But I don't think it
Quality's
has
there.
to. I don't think it has to. Like, the quality is there. It's Obsidian. Like, the quality is there. And, like, if you don't like Obsidian games or you don't like Bethesda games, this is not going to be for you. Straight up. And that's okay. I think you have to be able to acknowledge when something's not for you and still be like, hey, that's a pretty good game. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I found myself coming out of the state of play the other day thinking that. I didn't think the state of play was bad necessarily. I thought it was actually, for a state of play, it was actually pretty decent. I just looked at it and was like, almost all this is going multi-platform. Kind of like how I feel watching an Xbox show at this point.
Yeah.
So I guess let's move into that next. State of play, just real quick, because a lot of games shown there are coming to Xbox. They open Monster Hunter Wilds, of course. We all know Monster Hunter Wilds. It's coming out in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in the beta test this weekend.
Copies, and everybody's going to play it.
That thing is going to do absolute monstrous numbers. I would say, if it wasn't for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, kind of not taking us all by surprise, but selling more than I think even the most optimistic people thought it was going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first major game of the year. This is a game of the year contender. Let's put it that way. This is the first game of the year contender you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
not much we can say about Monster Hunter Wilds that hasn't already been said. You guys have been able to play like 3 betas at this point. I think the third beta is going on this weekend. I look forward to jumping into it for at least a little bit so I
Yeah.
can know if I need to buy this day one or not.
Yeah. LeBron is obsessed with it.
Oh,
So,
God.
I mean, not surprising, but
No, not surprising at all to those who know Laron.
yeah. He's just been every time, like, I feel like he's taken off work just to play the beta. Like,
I shouldn't talk about that. I definitely skipped class to play the Titanfall Alpha back in the day.
I mean, I've definitely done that too. I'm just
I
saying
I got an
it's
alpha
like,
code and made up a bullshit excuse that I needed to leave because it was a family emergency and got up and walked out of class just to go play the Titanfall Alpha.
I mean, that's
And then
fair.
I couldn't get into it. uh After that though, this was a real up and down show. Some of the ones that I really liked from this, they went from this into Shinobi. And this looks awesome. Shinobi Art of Vengeance looks fantastic.
Yeah.
This is coming out late August. This is a must play for me. This is another one of those games in Sega's, hey, we're going to revitalize all these old IPs.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they got this made and they're getting this out so quickly, we know that Virtua Fighter is on the way, Jet Set Radio. This gives me hope that Jet Grind Radio is going to be shown at the Xbox Showcase in June. They've shown
Yeah.
so many projects over the last couple months that I feel like it's coming. But for every banger that you get shown, like this and the Like a Dragon spinoff, you get a Sonic Racing.
Oh, but Sonic Racing, Josh.
So stupid. So stupid. Splitgate 2. I was not aware there was a Splitgate 2 until this moment.
Yeah, I knew about it like a year ago that they were talking about like rebooting the original Splitgate, and then they were like, "Now we'll just make a sequel." But then, like, you know, they announced that the sequel is coming like sometime last year, but never showed anything. I think this is the first or second time they showed anything from the sequel.
So Splitgate was fun the couple times I played it. It was fun.
Yeah.
I played it when it came to console with old friends of the show, Nerd Generalist and Colonel Panic.
Mm-hmm.
We sat down and played it because we really had a Halo itch, and this was before Halo Infinite even came out.
Mm-hmm.
We were playing it on the back end of COVID between that summer and when Halo Infinite would come out the following year. We played it somewhere in like that year and a half. Man, it was fun a couple of times, and then it just got really tedious. Like, it very much felt like a tech demo when you were playing it. There was potential there, but I didn't want to pay $60 for this game. The servers were already dying by the time I got around to it. I remember when it first went into alpha or beta on PC, and our friend Ray Apollo, when he first started streaming full time, interviewed their community manager on his stream while he was playing it. And I remember looking up Splitgate, and they didn't even have like 1,000 players. They didn't even have like 1,000 daily active users at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just never really got much better. I don't know what it peaked at, so like don't quote me on it. But it just never seemed like it took off. People really thought it was going to be a thing for a while there, and it seems like a few people, like Jeff Keighley was tweeting about Splitgate 2 yesterday, and I'm like, dude, stop trying to make this happen. It's not happening. So some of the other games that we saw there, and I'm only talking Xbox games, like I'm not talking about anything for PlayStation specifically here. Borderlands 4, that doing anything for you?
It looks like Borderlands.
It looks like Borderlands. That's exactly what all of us said in the chat.
I'm sure 3 years from now, when it's on sale for $20 as part of some weird collection that they're putting out, like, I will buy it and play it for 5 to 10 hours and be like, I got my fill.
Pretty much. That's about how I feel. It was telling, they're putting this out at the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
That was telling to me that says GTA 6 is not coming until November.
Yeah.
GTA 6 as being, they're going to release that like a week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So they can capitalize, but also because Take-Two CEO had a quote after this release date was revealed or right before or something, that they are aware that they are publishing both Borderlands and GTA 6, and they're aware that consumers only have so much money to spend on games, and so they want to give ample time for you to enjoy both experiences
Mm-hmm.
by not releasing them too close. So to me, that screams release Borderlands, let Call of Duty have October, boom, we take November with GTA, because the world is going to stop when GTA comes out. If you put it out anytime in November, like that basically shuts down anything else coming out until January.
Mm.
You're not going to risk releasing anything in December, because if you do, it's not eligible for the Keeleys. So
yeah, but I feel like
and
I
I
feel
do
like
think that that
GTA is.
matters to the I do think that matters to studios.
You think it matters to Rockstar?
No, it doesn't, but I think Rockstar knows they can release whenever. I think it scares off the other studios from wanting to release anything
Oh, right.
around GTA or even in the immediate aftermath. Like if that's coming out to dominate the conversation going into Black Friday,
Mm-hmm.
I think that just studios are going to be scared shitless and not put anything out.
Yeah,
The
that's fair.
industry is going to grind to a halt with GTA 6. Outside of
Yeah,
like Nintendo.
yeah,
Like Nintendo could release a 3D Mario the next day and still move 10 million copies without blinking.
yeah,
Or like Pokemon Legends or something.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting. It's gonna be an interesting fall for everybody. I think. I mean, especially because
yeah.
like everybody moving out of the way of GTA. What does the new Call of Duty look like? What's Xbox putting out? Nintendo has a new console. Sony.
And I mean, August and September are filling up fast with major titles.
Yeah.
So you have to
Well, I
assume
think.
that in August or September, you're getting Ghost of Yotei is going to be in there, and I would wager Fable will be in one of those 2 months. I feel Fable feels like a first half of September game to me. Ghost
Yeah.
of Yotei is I again I think Ghost of Yotei is one of those you could kind of drop it wherever you want to, and it's going to move units. But Sony's really going to want the discussion on that game. That's their big game this year. Like Death Stranding is big, but that's more of an auteur game.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost of Yotei is the one that like you're going to push to everyone.
Right.
That is the mass appeal game you have
Right.
this fall. Because it's not Days Gone remastered, Corey.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely certain. Other games that we saw, Split Fiction. I'm so stoked for this. This comes out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The new game from Josef Fares. This looks awesome. Split Fiction's going to be great. I can't wait. His games are must plays.
I'm a little surprised at how little I'm hearing about this game. Like I just feel like his games are like everybody like loves his games, but like I haven't heard I have hardly heard anybody talk about it.
So part of that's like by design, I think, because he just announced it at the Game Awards. I think
Right.
they've done one preview round and that's it. But to announce it and it come out 3 months later is pretty big.
No, I agree. I think that's great, but I think that's
So
why I'm surprised nobody's talking about it is because like the
I'm okay with it.
cycle is like so
Yeah.
short. Like that's usually like a big deal.
That I think that's like for me that's and that's I think this is like you and I both kind of feel the same way on this. We would rather see a game get announced and then released a couple months later than get it
Mhm.
announced and like see CG trailers for like 4 years. Looking at you, Microsoft, Sony, like you guys love to do this, and
Oh, but I love that Fable Fairy trailer like 5 years ago.
I got really excited because it said Fable at the end. I yeah, I think Split Fiction's gonna be in a it coming out a week after Monster Hunter Wilds is a choice, but I think it also appeals to an entirely different demographic.
Yeah.
Yosef Fares is one of the few people still doing couch co-op correctly,
Hmm.
so I'm really
And
excited.
also
It
like
Takes Two was awesome.
and the good thing about his games too is like when you buy one copy, you get another copy to play with someone else. Like that's
I do
just
love that.
part of the deal. Like
Hmm.
that's amazing. So
Very big fan. Very big fan. Directive 8020, that is a new Dark Pictures game from Supermassive and Bandai Namco. It looks really fucking weird and it's very sci-fi, kind of a
yeah.
departure from those games from what I know about them. Could be interesting. uh, Onimusha, we got a new Onimusha trailer.
Yeah, looks good. Onimusha looks awesome.
Onimusha looks awesome. Hell is Us looks awesome.
Yeah.
That game looks rad. Metal Gear Solid Delta, we got another trailer for that with an Ape Escape tease at the end.
Yeah, but did you see that the Ape
I
Escape
did.
the
I
Ape Escape stuff
did.
is exclusive to PlayStation, but Josh, but you know what they're replacing it with on Xbox?
It's Bomberman.
Bomberman.
I think that is really cool.
That's amazing.
It gave real Metal Gear Solid 2 subsistence vibes.
Mhm.
So again interested to see that. I was never a huge fan of Snake Eater. I think I was too young to appreciate it.
Yeah.
The one that sent my chat into an absolute tizzy over, not that they weren't excited about these other games, the Lies of P DLC
Mhm.
absolutely had them just shitting bricks.
Bold move to like put that out there ahead of like the Elden Ring Night Rain thing. Not that like whatever. I know it'll sell anyway, but like it's pretty ballsy because Elden Ring just announced their release date.
Yeah, Elden Ring did announce their release date. Night Rain is coming out May 30th.
Yeah.
That is a choice.
That's a that's a time, but look, that's one of those games I think that will just sell anywhere wherever you put it, you know.
I agree. I think it's going to sell no matter what. Same with like Borderlands was always going to sell. Um, Lost Soul Aside was shown. This is a PS5 only game because it's being published by Sony, but that looked awesome. That was the game that started with just one developer and eventually built his own studio up to have like 40 developers at it. That game looks really, really dope. Um, Mind's Eye is the other one I wanted to call out. Mind's Eye looked really, really cool. It gave very Spec Ops vibes to me.
Mhm.
It felt like a game that if this had come out back in like 2006, it would have been published by like Midway
Yeah.
or like one of those like double A firms.
Mhm. Yeah.
This looks really
HQ.
cool. Yeah, THQ. That's who I'm thinking of. THQ. This is coming out this summer. I think it looks awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then
Good
I got a
time.
new look at Lost Records, new game from our friends over at Don't Nod. That's an instant play for me, must play. And it's coming to PS Plus day one. I know that's an Xbox show. It is coming into PS Plus day one next week on the 18th.
So crazy.
It's so crazy, but I'm here for it. I'm really excited for it, and that does kind of solidify. I'm going to go play it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know, why spend the extra money? I'm going to go play. I'm going to go play it on PlayStation. Gives me a reason to boot up my PS5.
Yeah.
Thinking about like last announcements, Tides of Annihilation. This looked really cool. It was that game that was set in like destroyed London that really gave like Rebirth meets Shadow of the Colossus vibes.
Yeah.
That was a really cool one. There was some really cool animation in Midnight Walk. Had really cool animation as well, and that's coming. That's coming out May 8th. I actually did not remember that getting revealed before, but apparently it was in the last state of play. That shows you how much I pay attention. And really, the only other big announcement, and I say the only other, Housemarque's new game.
Yeah,
Again,
that was
PS5 exclusive, Saros. We were calling it Broternal.
Broternal.
Yeah, Rahul Cooley is in this. This they have promised that we are going to get an extended gameplay preview later this year. So to me, that screams they're going to do a PlayStation Presents at some point, whether that's in May or in September remains to be seen, but it'll be one of those two most likely.
Yeah.
This is going to be a smash hit when it comes out.
I hope so. I think Housemarque
This
deserves
is not a
something.
game for me at all. I did not enjoy. I think I'm one of the few people who played Returnal and absolutely detested every single second of my time with it.
I mean, that's
But I
fair.
appreciated the game design, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think all the components of the game were good. I just did not have fun playing it, and that's why I stopped. And I was playing it with a friend who is huge into Soulsborne games.
Yeah.
Neither one of us really enjoyed it. I really thought if a Souls game was ever going to capture me, it was going to be Returnal, and it just didn't. And that's okay. Whatever. Saros is going to be huge. And I think that should give you, like, we talked a lot about Xbox's future last episode. and we talked about Nintendo's here and there. Seeing a game like Saros should give you a lot of hope for the PlayStation slate also. Like I've talked some shit about this year. Like this year it's really Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2 doing an awful lot of heavy lifting. It remains to be seen if Marathon is going to make it out this year or Fair Games. Like Fair Games not being here was kind of telling to me. And there was a huge
Yeah.
rumor that went around the day before and the day of by my Destiny Bolton. This is why I tell people don't trust Destiny Bolton. Saying that Marathon and Codename Gummy Bear were both going to show up there, and neither one of them was there.
Shocking.
Shocking. Destiny Bolton was wrong. I was a little surprised there was no tease for Apollo here, for Codename Apollo from Frontiers with Destiny. A little surprised, considering we got the Final Shape tease, 11 or 13 months before it ultimately came out? We got a tease. That's where we found out Cade was coming back, and then we got the Marathon tease, and that was almost 2 years ago. So I was kind of thinking we would maybe see one of those, but I guess they don't want to tease too much with Destiny, considering we're just now entering the final episode.
Yeah.
Marathon not being there, still a little bit shocking to me. That to me is also another indicator. I expect a big show probably in May to say, hey, here's a look at Saros. Saros could even be saved for the end of the year, but like, hey, here's more Ghost of Yotei footage. Here's Death Stranding 2 with a release date. Here's this. Here's maybe a look at gameplay from Fair Games. Maybe you get the Santa Monica game announced there, or something new from Insomniac. Maybe Wolverine is there. Like, the long-term future for PlayStation is really good, because the studios that are going to have games coming are studios we all celebrate. Like, they're not going to have the output of Nintendo, or even the output that we're starting to see Microsoft have. But every PlayStation release is an event.
Yeah, and I think that's how PlayStation wants it, right?
Yes.
They
For right now, at least, that's what they want.
They definitely favor the quality over quantity, although I think these titles are going to start being shorter and smaller because of the budgets and how long it takes to make these games, but the quality will still be there. I'm just I think Sony's trying to get to the point where they can release, like, I would say one first party game a half, right?
Yeah.
Or every 4 months, I guess, but probably a half.
I think every 4 months is what you ideally should be aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is they have a fraction of the studios that Microsoft has, and they have a fraction of the teams that Nintendo has.
Right. Which is, but that's why they're publishing second party stuff, right? Like Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade, and
Stellar Blade, massive success for them. Huge.
Yeah.
And obviously that partnership is still going. They announced some DLC for it yesterday and a PC port.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what needs to happen. And like the PC ports are taking less and less time to come now.
Yeah.
They're about a year now, and I expect that gap to drastically close, maybe as soon as Death Stranding 2.
I also expect, wasn't Death Stranding, no, was it not day and date on PC?
No. Death Stranding did not come to PC until the following year, because I remember it started getting packaged in with NVIDIA cards, because that's how our friend Ray Apollo played it.
Right. You're right.
Yep.
I would imagine that anything multiplayer or live service is going to be day and date with PC as well. Helldivers was, right? So
yeah, I think anything with a multiplayer component at this point has to be. We already know Marathon's going to release on everything simultaneously. I would expect Gummy Bear to. I think, if anything, Concord taught them you have to at least, even like Concord, like that was on PC and like people didn't buy it. I think you got to put it on everything. Just put it on everything. What are you losing by putting a multiplayer only game on everything? You're not losing anything.
Especially live service, right? Like, you have to.
It has to at least come to PC at this point to have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we got the PS5 numbers this morning. It's estimated they sold about 75 million units. Incredible. It's almost on par with what the PS4 was doing at this point, and that's with the COVID shortages. So, like, clearly having only a handful of exclusives a year, like 2, maybe 3, like, hasn't slowed down the growth at all.
Yeah, I think PlayStation has I mean the brand, it's the brand,
Yeah.
it's the name. They have the cachet with fans, right? That
It's not
it's
even just that. It's, we come back to it all the time. The PS4 won so decisively last generation, and that's where so many people started digital libraries.
mhm,
Like, there are kids who have never picked up an Xbox controller out there because all that they've ever known is PlayStation.
yeah,
They were like 6 when PS4 came out or something, and how those kids are getting ready to go off to college in like another year or two. Like, their entire lives has just been PlayStation. That's all they've ever known.
yeah,
They actually, that's a lot of the people that you argue with online are like that, or like they're young, like 20s gamers, and they don't really know anything other than that.
yeah.
And like, oh, Nintendo got like magically good when we were like 13. And it's like, oh, oh my god, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. It's like, guys, I need you to understand, like, Zelda's always been good. It's not been like that though.
Yeah.
Like, and that came out at kind of the perfect time. We said it with Tears of the Kingdom. That was a Zelda game that was built for the Minecraft generation
Right.
in a lot of ways.
Let me
But these guys don't. They don't have that connection with Halo, with Gears, with Fable, and that's why I think it's so good that they're rebooting Fable. Gears is going back to
mhm,
Dom and Marcus.
yeah.
We're going back to basics here.
Yeah, and also like the rumored master or rumored Halo remake, right? Like going back, going back, going back, and then they can go any way they kind of want to from there, right? So,
Yeah.
I imagine Gears E Day is a total reboot of the franchise. I know they're not saying that, but the more and more I'm like seeing it, and the more and more I'm kind of reading about it, how they kind
Yeah.
of want to like steer clear of 4 and 5 at this point. Like it really feels like they're just gonna go like reboot the franchise at this
Which
point.
would be a shame to me because I think, God, four might be my favorite Gears.
Yeah,
It's between 2 and 4 for me.
I really liked 5. I didn't
I think
mind
five
5 at
is
all.
5 is very good. I think that they want to steer clear of it though, because it was like this whole, oh, choose who you're gonna sacrifice and shit, and like your choices matter, and you gotta understand, you can't make sequels to games like that where you kill off a major character
Hmm.
and then expect it to play out the same. Like, Mass Effect is the only game that's ever done it correctly, I think. And look how many years it was between the Veermeyer decision and the fallout of it.
Hmm.
Like, look at that. And the game is drastically worse if you went through with killing Rex.
Hmm.
It's drastically worse. Like, Mass Effect 3 loses almost all of its impact.
Yeah,
So it's very hard to do a game like that. I don't think anybody's really nailed it. I'm always here to see if somebody's going to be able to. I just don't. I think that's what's holding you up with Gears 5. Like, really, you killed Anya, and then you're going to kill Marcus's son too? Because let's be real. JD dying is the only thing that makes sense in Gears 5. Because
yeah,
he's a dick.
yeah. And like you have like no offense to Dell, but like you don't have any connection to Dell, really, right? I mean, they
You
try to make
don't.
him like your third member, but like the story clearly revolves around Kate. JD is Marcus's son, which you have a clear connection to, and Dell's just kind of like the odd man
And
out.
it's kind of wild too, because like Gears 4 is JD's story.
Yeah,
And don't
until
get me
the
wrong,
end.
I'm very happy that you went with Kate in 5, but if you were going to do that, it needed to be Kate from Gears 4.
Yeah.
Kate needed to be the lead from there, and like, oh, JD is like just your best friend and this and that. And like, oh, that's how
Hmm.
Marcus gets dragged back in, blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to make her Mira's daughter, essentially, you needed to fix it somehow.
Yeah. Spoilers for Gears, I guess.
It's been 6 years. I don't give a shit anymore. It's been
Yeah.
6 years. If you wanted to play Gears 5, you would have done it by now.
Yeah. I just
There is
I'm not.
there's so many problems with the timeline at that point, and Marcus and Dom were always the beating heart of the franchise.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you 100%.
I think him being in a limited role in 4 is great, but then they shove him to the forefront in 5, and I hated that.
Yeah.
I hate how much Marcus is in 5 because you didn't need Marcus to be in 5.
Yeah, but that's the problem though. Is like old Gears fans are really connected to Marcus and
Yep.
want more Marcus, and new players like you're making a sequel trilogy, but like
The
how are you supposed
characters are not remotely as
it
good. Like,
just
I like Kate,
I I like the
but
I really do like the idea of a sequel to Gears, like the original Gears trilogy set later, right? Like 4
for
and
sure.
5 are, but like the more I've thought about it over the years, the more just and especially after the announcement of E-Day, I'm just like, as much as I want to see a conclusion to 5 and see what happens and all that, like it just doesn't really work. It
Like,
just
I
doesn't
would
really
be
work.
okay with not seeing the conclusion at this point, to be totally frank with you.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we are. I I I I seriously don't think we are, unless that's what Project Maverick is from People Can Fly. That's the only way I can see this, and
So
People Can Fly makes this sixth game, while the Coalition makes the sequel to E-Day.
I keep coming down on this with Maverick. We didn't get a definitive answer one way or another if that interview conducted in Polish was accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
it does seem like Maverick is just the support they're doing on E-Day. I still think that it's them also secretly making a Marcus Phoenix collection, because that would do gangbusters for you if you put it out on Switch and PlayStation. And at this point, like, everything is coming to Switch and PlayStation if they can support it.
Yeah,
Everything is
I
coming. It just might not be day and date, but look at just
mhm,
this year alone. We talked about it on the last show. Eh, Doom to Dark Ages is coming. You've
mhm,
got Ninja Gaiden 4 is obviously coming. Call of Duty is going to come. There are a lot of rumors that sprouted up this week that Fable is coming. Forza Horizon 5 is going to release this year. Age of Mythology is coming this year. Like, Hi-Fi Rush, we know, is going to come to Switch 2. Sea of Thieves is probably coming to Switch 2. Those are already on PS5. Like, it is their strategy at this point, is to be on as many devices as possible.
right,
Microsoft is very rapidly going the route of the publisher,
yeah,
and they'll make the handheld PCs because it's Microsoft.
yeah,
But this next console is probably the last actual home console you're going to get.
yeah,
Just Xbox hardware isn't, it's just not selling. And throwing in your lot with Steam and like still promoting your own store with Play Anywhere is that's huge.
mhm,
Allowing cross save between Steam, Xbox, and even with Avowed, even BattleNet is big.
mhm,
Indiana Jones was doing this also. Just at a certain point, you got to wave the white flag, and I think we've gotten there due to very poor management over the years.
yeah,
But this goes back. I mean, this is so much beyond like Phil Spencer. Like, the minute Don Matrick decided he was going to berate people for not wanting a DRM box was the beginning of the end.
right,
That singular interview changed everything, because
yeah,
that's what people remembered.
right. You know what the thing is too, though? Like, the thing is that Xbox was right about all that, right?
And
Like
we said that for
the
years. Like,
online
they
stuff.
they
They
were
were just
right
the
about
messaging
everything.
again, though. The
The
messaging again.
messaging, and they were just too early.
Yeah.
They were about 3 years too early on the digital stuff and on digital DRM. And I mean, I think back to it all the time. Like, people got mad about TV. And now you look at that, like, how that became such a huge meme. And now, like, I feel like every time I turn around, there's a new show or movie getting announced by PlayStation.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because you're not taking the time during a presentation to do that. So it's a little different, and you actually have expertise in doing this.
Yeah.
But it's still like just the irony of how things change in a 10-year span.
Yep.
So,
Man.
other things. We got a few other pieces to get to. Tom Warren reports that Microsoft is considering bringing Gears of War and Flight Sim to PS5 along with Halo. Obviously, that would be the CE remaster. We've also heard Master Chief Collection. He reported this last year and says in this and the Notepad update this past week. I would not be surprised if Microsoft goes ahead with porting Halo and Gears soon, as Phil Spencer has made it clearer than ever that Xbox games are going to be on PlayStation. Basically, water is wet.
What?
This should not surprise anybody. Hellblade 2 is supposedly getting announced, maybe for like an April or May release for the 1 year anniversary. Again, should not shock anyone. The original Hellblade was originally timed exclusive on PlayStation 4. And it's fine because, like, okay, whatever. You got a whole year. I do think that maybe the approach for a little while here is that, like, some of the internal studios that, like, actual Microsoft Game Studios owns might keep their games exclusive for like a year or so and then start porting them.
Yeah.
But the can of worms really was opened with announcing the Indiana Jones port before the game was even out.
Yeah.
And then the game ends up being kick-ass. And I really think Phil, I think at a certain point has to be sitting there going, I kind of wish we could put some of these worms back in the can.
I mean, also, I'm sure it wasn't his decision.
I also don't think it was his decision either.
Or
like Doom and Outer Worlds were always going to be multi-platform.
No, I agree. I think, I mean,
we've always said existing franchises have to stay multi-platform.
Yeah. Plus we always talked about, like, existing franchises will be multi-platform. Anything new from Bethesda will be a timed exclusive on Xbox, and anything Activision Blizzard puts out will be a multi-platform. Like that was what we were discussing when all these rumors first started. And then anything Xbox Game Studios does will be exclusive. Like, that's kind of what we kind of thought maybe would happen when this started. But then, like, the Obsidian games moved over and Hi-Fi Rush moved over, and it was just kind of like.
And yet, at the same time, like, it all makes sense. Like, the studios that Xbox themselves actually owns that are not underneath the ZeniMax or Activision banners are studios that traditionally have not made a lot of money. Like Obsidian, InXile, Compulsion, and Ninja Theory were, like, all in serious financial trouble. Double Fine, they were all in serious financial trouble when Microsoft acquired them. So, fine, whatever. You got to put them on other platforms to try and maximize the money. And, like, my stance continues to be, if this means that I get to keep my Game Pass subs, so be it. If this means I get to play games a little bit early on Xbox, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at this like, this is going to start, this is going to make up the money that they're not earning in Game Pass subscriptions, because, you know, obviously those are stagnant. So, yes, you got to make the money up somewhere. And,
you don't spend $68 billion and not expect something to have to come along with that.
Yeah.
Do I think things would be different if they had never bought Activision Blizzard? Of course I do.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're having this conversation. But it's clear that hardware was always going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is.
That's why they started putting things out day and date on PC, right? Because hardware was in trouble.
And this is something I've seen from more and more people that analyze the industry and look at Xbox in particular, being like, Xbox didn't necessarily lose the players, it's that they all went to PC. And so Microsoft is seeing it as, we're still getting the money no matter what.
Yeah.
And on PC, you're probably less likely to subscribe to Game Pass because you have to do it through the Microsoft store, so they're going to buy them on Steam.
Yeah.
Like, Avowed is the #1 seller on Steam right now. I expect that to continue.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking that too, Josh, is, like, I know a lot of kids these days have grown up on, like, tablets and phones and stuff. But, like, the way I see my kids and my nephews at school, like, learning, like, they have a class called, well, my daughter has a class called Tech Time. And that's where they show them how to use a computer, right? And, like, I wonder if the shift to PC for younger kids started in school when they're, like, learning, because, like, my first, like, real computer class, and I was in 7th grade. Like, and, like, that was my first real computer class.
Yeah, I was in, like, 4th or 5th grade when it happened for me. That was like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. It was, like, right around the time that GameCube came out.
Yeah. But, like,
I didn't even take serious computer classes until high school.
Yeah. And, like, my son is in preschool and he has tech time, right? So
Yeah.
like, of course my son loves controllers. We play games all the time, but like,
Mm-hmm.
um, he loves the Switch controller. I have the Splatoon one, the blue and yellow Splatoon one for Switch, and
Mm-hmm.
he loves it. But like, you know, I just see my nephews like my one nephew is like obsessed with PC gaming. You know, he's also obsessed with cloud gaming, which is like that's something I didn't think I'd ever hear. But like he plays all like he has a cheap laptop and he subscribes to Game Pass and he plays all of his Xbox games through the cloud.
So I think the shift to PC gaming really started in earnest during COVID. We talked about this with Jeff Gardner last year, and he said that's when they noticed it shifting in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Was people couldn't get the new consoles. There were all these barriers up to, oh, you have to own a PlayStation, you have to own a Switch, you have to own an Xbox to play these games. And then magically, like, Xbox games just start coming day and date to Steam right around that time, and people were like, oh, I don't have, that's one less console I have to buy, but I can pay a little bit more money, and oh, I'll hold out and wait on the PlayStation games and just get a Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I know a lot of people who have gone that route in particular, and I think you're
Mm-hmm.
going to see more of that. We have become a society that, like, we've pushed graphics and performance to their absolute limits, and we've hyped them to holy hell. Gaming is more expensive than it's ever been, but it's also more accessible than it's ever been, I feel, because of products like the Switch and the Series S.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the line you have to straddle now going forward, because now Microsoft is like, well, handhelds are also like a huge thing now, and I think games are going to be split between high-end PC rigs, but also handhelds that are, a bit cheaper, but you can play anything on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of where things are going to start going. You're going to see less and less high performance for like home consoles and see more hybrid solutions. So you can take them on the go, and like the Steam Deck. I think the Steam Deck is a great device, but it really is best if it is used as
A supplement.
a supplement to your rig.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you can take your saves and your games on the go and whatnot. That's what it's most used for, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to monitor. And on that topic, Jez Corden had a piece in Windows Central earlier, and talking about the hardware roadmap, and about how sales figures for consoles for Xbox have declined year over year for years now. Like, Series X and S are selling worse than Xbox One did at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Xbox One, I can top that at like 55 million units total by the end.
Yeah.
So that's not a great sign. Uh, I've recently been told that Xbox's next gen console hardware has now moved past its early pitch stage and has been fully approved and costed all the way up the chain. I doubt we'll see a reveal of their hardware strategy anytime soon, but what is perhaps more interesting to me is how Xbox will seek to entice developers to support its efforts on PC. So far, developers have completely shunned the Microsoft Store for delivering PC games, which doesn't seem sustainable if Microsoft is to maintain its own ecosystem. This really does feel like the redo of the portable Windows UI.
Mm-hmm.
This is like do or die. This
Yeah.
is do or die if you are the hardware team at Xbox. Otherwise, you are just making software that is going to run on Steam Deck and on ROG and things like that.
Well, didn't they wasn't the one rumor that the Surface team was involved in the next Xbox?
Yes, so the Surface team is making the next device, and Jason Ronald has personally stepped in to oversee the redesign of Windows UI.
Yeah.
That gives me a lot of hope right there. Jason Ronald is, of course, the one of the lead product guys behind Series X, but before that was responsible for your original Xbox games working on Xbox
Yeah.
consoles.
What's his title now? President of Next Generation Hardware or something?
Something like that. I think the only people above him in Xbox are Sarah and Phil, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah.
So he
Which I
pretty
mean,
much answers
he's earned
directly
it.
to them.
He's earned it. He's been there a long time.
Jason's awesome. Jason's great. Jason Ronald's great.
I
We
mean,
like him a lot.
the hardware since the Xbox One S has been top notch, right? I mean, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I still think the One S is such a sleek device.
Yeah.
I like the 1S. I like the Series S. For all the criticism that the X has gotten, I like it better than my PS5 in terms
Yeah.
of design.
Oh, yeah, dude. The PS5 is so ugly, dude.
I don't think the PS5 is ugly. It just looks like a giant router.
Oh.
And it's really hard to fit into an entertainment system. I have to be fair, I have both of these tucked behind my TV.
Yeah.
In my living room because they both need ample room to breathe.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing that's going to lead to the death of like home consoles eventually is just like how much airflow you need to keep these things running.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder and harder to put them into home entertainment systems, whereas like a portable that you can plug into a dock is a much different story.
Yeah, but I also think that's like I know people don't like the term AI, but I think this is where like the Nvidia AI technology is coming in to play where like or AMD or whatever you're using, right? Is like this
Right.
like that AI technology is supposed to mimic that power source that you like, like
Well, and there's a
the
difference between that kind of AI and AI that's being used to create art.
right,
You
right.
know, for those who aren't
Yeah,
seeing in a video, that art was very sarcastically in quotation marks. This
very.
isn't being used to do that. This is being used to make processes simplified and more powerful with
Yeah.
less hardware. That is an example of good AI. Like AI is not as a blanket bad. It's just things like open AI are bad.
Yeah.
Like shit that Sam Altman's doing is bad. Stuff
It's
that is helping with computer processors, not so much.
definitely strange, some of that stuff.
Yeah, I am interested to see what goes on with that. I
Also,
do think
the growing beef between Sam Altman and Elon Musk is like really funny to watch
oh,
because
this it's
no,
great to watch from the sidelines until you realize these two billionaires are going to get us all killed. Uh,
uh,
I think when you're and like Microsoft is clearly an investor in OpenAI, so I'm like a
mhm,
little scared there for a future Xbox
right.
handheld. But at the same time, like again, not all AI is bad. It's just like very specific brands of it are
Well,
bad
so
and specific uses. A lot of uses, like 70% of the uses of AI, are terrible. Chat GPT, awful, awful.
so from what I have gathered just by working in this space,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft is an investor in the open AI nonprofit. How do we make AI safer part of the brand, not the product?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's what I understand, but still, like, I know a lot of people's kind of concerns about that, and I mean, I'm not concerned either. I just, you know, I've we've been talking a lot about it at work because we're involved in a lot of AI discussions and whatever, and that's kind of what I've
Mm-hmm.
gathered. So yes, I realize I disconnected, but
Okay.
I got my point across, so it's fine.
uh, yeah, I don't really have much left to say on that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But just knowing that the hardware has passed the pitch stage and has been approved and costed all the way up does kind of give us a bit of a window as to when this could be released because that means they know the exact specs of this.
Hmm.
To me, that does mean that we're probably on track for a late 26
Hmm.
window.
Yeah,
If not early 27. I don't think you're waiting until fall 27 to put this out because Microsoft doesn't give a shit about generations anymore. And they shouldn't.
yeah. I mean, I think generations are just an old
It's
hat.
something that we cling to as old terminology, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Hmm.
It
I
hasn't
mean,
it hasn't mattered since the Switch came out.
yeah. I mean, even Nintendo is moving past generations at this point, right? Like their stuff,
I
like
mean, I'd argue Nintendo was the first one to do it with the Wii U.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Wii U and then the Switch. But I do think that that's when you're going to see Microsoft's first attempt at a portable handheld will be next fall. If it's already costed, that's kind of when it has to be.
Hmm.
Especially if you're going to put a you know Series S essentially into a handheld. Which, by the way, that's killer specs for a handheld. I don't give a shit what you think. That is killer specs for a handheld.
Hmm.
So,
Cool with me.
what?
I said it's cool with me.
There are a couple of other news tidbits we need to hit. One is Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick is back in the news,
What?
unfortunately. Bobby Kotick calls Bizarre Creations acquisition a bad, expensive lesson that violated all of their principles.
What, make games that don't make a lot of money?
Oh, dude, it's so bad. So this comes from GameDeveloper.com. In a recent interview with venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins on the Grit podcast, Jesus Christ, Kotick called the British studio a bad acquisition. However, he could not name the studio in the interview and described it as in Manchester that did that driving game on Xbox.
Jeez.
Activision Blizzard bought the studio for $67.4 million, with an additional $40 million if certain benchmarks were hit over the next 5 years. From 2008 to 2010, Bizarre released 4 games: Geometry Wars Retro Evolved 2, Geometry Wars Touch, Blur, and 007 Bloodstone before shutting down in 2011. Kotick went on to discuss a really good guy who was running the day-to-day, whom he also could not name, but appears to be then studio head Brian Woodhouse. He considered Woodhouse brilliant, but said Bizarre itself was an $80 million acquisition overall and was subsequently written off 2 years later. Everything about it violated all our principles. Yeah, it's just super fucking wild. Super fucking wild. Kotick's thoughts on Bizarre are more candid than most in his former position have been able to give, or at least more intentional. Often, if an executive is disappointed in a studio, they critique their most recent release and cut that developer staff, as recently seen with BioWare and Phoenix Labs. Another example, Xbox boss Matt Booty talked about making smaller games to give us prestige and awards in 2023, just days after closing Tango Gameworks. God, that still makes me mad. Oh Jesus, this is rough. After Bizarre's closure, several alums went on to found Lucid Games, which was went on to continue Geometry Wars and more recently released Destruction All Stars on PS5. Lucid is also a co-developer on Sea of Thieves and was acquired by Lightspeed Studios in 2023. At the time of that acquisition, Lucid said it would leverage its new parent company's resources while continuing to enjoy full independence in the games that we create in the operation of the studio. What an absolute catastrophe. Bobby Kotick coming out almost 20 years later to shit talk an old acquisition.
Right.
This is just silly.
Does he miss bad press?
This is silly and there's no point to it.
I think this guy just misses bad press.
Dude, I just like that's the biggest regret you had running Activision Blizzard? Really? An $80 million acquisition of the Project Gotham team? Also, it doesn't help that you didn't put them on a racing game ever. Like, right. Geometry Wars is great, don't get me wrong, but you had to make 2 Geometry Wars games, Blur and 007. I don't even know what Blur is. I'm going to be totally honest with you.
Blur was the Blur was a kind of like a.
It is a racing game. I'm fucking wrong. Yeah. It's a racing game.
It had like weird like racetrack. It turned out to be like fake physics, but like it's different. Like the buildings would fall over on different laps, and like it would be like this building would fall over this race, but then the next one would fall over this race. And it was
that sounds stupid.
Like, it was supposed to be like randomly, like the buildings were supposed to be randomly destructible, and I don't know. It was a neat concept, but weird. I think that game that Disney ended up putting out, what was it? Split Second was the other racing game that came out around that time. When Disney was trying to make things not based on IP.
Yeah.
Which the other racing game they made with Pure, the ATV game, was actually pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. Bobby Kotick just misses bad press, I guess. I don't know.
Dude, I don't even know where to start with this. This is just horrifyingly unprofessional.
Yeah.
Speaking of horrifyingly unprofessional, Bloomberg reports Warner Brothers video game division faces leadership uncertainty, thin slates, and Wonder Woman issues. Some of the key quotes from this article. Jason Schreier is, of course, doing the reporting. Who the fuck else? In January, Warner Brothers Discovery revealed David Haddad, head of the struggling video game division, will be stepping down. To some who work closely with the veteran executive, it did not come as a surprise. Their only question was why it took so long. One of the company's biggest bets in development, a video game based on Wonder Woman, has struggled to coalesce, according to people familiar with the project. Early last year, it was rebooted and switched game directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said people who were asked not to be identified, and it is still years away from release if it ever makes it to market. According to interviews with 24 current and former Warner Brothers employees, a lack of strong, cohesive vision during Haddad's reign, a tumultuous period in which Warner Brothers struggled through multiple reorganizations, led to years of trend chasing and wasted development time. Along the way, once revered studios under the Warner Brothers umbrella have taken reputational hits, lost key staff, and burned through hundreds of millions of dollars.
I wonder who
Some
that
of
could
the
be.
God. Well, so there is a quote on Rocksteady in here. Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single player game, but according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing. And Montreal Studio is helping out with other projects such as Wonder Woman while working on a pitch for a new Game of Thrones game. There also was a little tidbit about a Flash game was in the works at WB Montreal, but scrapped after poor reception to the movie, and a Constantine game was also pitched but never approved.
I mean, I don't know how you would make a Flash game work, to be honest, but
I don't either, but it would have at least been something different.
A lot of bullet time.
I have just so many thoughts on this. None of them particularly good, by the way.
I have one overarching thought.
Warner Brothers is a disaster.
Yeah. Gosh,
because that's where I'm at.
Let Rocksteady make a Batman game. Utilize that awesome Nemesis system that you used twice and then never used again.
Oh boy.
I don't know. Make another Mordor game. People seem to like that, or at least implement the Nemesis system into a Batman game, which would also might work. I don't know, man. Warner Brothers has so many great IP or like IP that people love, and they've just squandered it all. You know, like the only thing they've put out consistently in the last decade is Mortal Kombat. Seriously, you know,
and like, Mortal Kombat 1 didn't particularly review well.
Yeah,
and has had a declining player base compared to other games in the series.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's also because Tekken 8 came out shortly after and just kicked its ass.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at this. They're closing down. Multiversus is coming to an end.
Yeah.
Which
Don't worry, it's getting an offline mode.
Oh my god, Multiversus just seems like such a catastrophe. People were playing it in early access and we're like, hey, this is actually good. I think it's just because we don't get fighters like that very often. It's just Smash Brothers, essentially. And it's like, no, this is actually shit.
Yeah.
This is actually dog shit. You guys like it because it's free.
No, I think Multiversus initially was like, people were excited because it was different, and then they shut it down, rebuilt the entire game in a different engine, and then relaunched it, and it wasn't the same game. Like, I mean, it was still a platform fighter, but like it was slower. Like the characters had different moves. Some characters look completely different in general. I heard some of the characters they launched were unfinished.
It was just it's bad. It's bad.
It's
just like everything else Warner Brothers keeps putting out. Like Hogwarts Legacy is the one thing that saved them. And that even didn't get like incredible reviews, but it sold so insanely well.
Yeah, well,
purely on IP name alone, it sold well.
Yeah.
So
it's just
if Hogwarts Legacy doesn't land, we're probably having this discussion a year ago.
I mean,
like Suicide Squad would have been the complete and total nail in the coffin for Warner Brothers as a whole.
Yeah, and I wonder because they greenlit the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy, right? But they're like
they will cling to that studio. They will cling to until this game is out at the bare minimum.
Well, they also the former head of WB Games who just left said that he wants it to tie into the new show, and I'm like,
yeah, I saw that too.
First of all, you're not going to get the game out in time for it to tie into the new show,
right?
Second of all, just make a sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. They literally left it open for a sequel for those who played it. Like it's primed for a sequel. Just make a sequel. Your character, you start out as a 5th year, and Hogwarts is a 7-year school. It's set up to be a trilogy, Josh. So like, just make it a trilogy.
It's so silly.
Oh my gosh. It's just like, what are you thinking? Just Josh, why?
Why indeed?
Let Rocksteady make their Batman game.
which you should have done like 8 years ago.
Yeah, like
It's so many bad decisions just continue to be made.
There's too many bad decisions, Josh. I can't keep up with them all.
We have two other little bits of news. One of these comes from Insider Gaming, reporting that Xbox Game Pass is set to be adding a classic Call of Duty game to the library.
What?
Modern Warfare 2 is supposedly headed to the service in either March or April.
Which Modern
First
Warfare
reported by
2?
Xbox Era, Insider Gaming can corroborate this report. As of this writing, it remains unclear if the full game is coming or just the campaign, and if it will be the original version or the remastered campaign. So, yeah, they're clearly going to drip feed these out. No idea what they're going to do about this because the hackers are rampant on PC, so I don't know how you're going to fix that. Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, if it's probably going to be the remastered version. It's probably just going to be the campaign.
That would be my guess right now, but I think they also saw how insanely popular Black Ops 2 was when it came to backwards compatibility. People were buying Xboxes just to play it.
Yeah.
So I think they've got to be at least a little aware of how popular these games would be, especially with the multiplayer. But I do think they're trying to decouple the campaigns from the multiplayers for the less popular games.
Yeah.
I could see them only putting like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, and maybe Advanced Warfare on there for multiplayer, and then kind of moving on from everything else.
The reason why Black Ops 2 was so popular though, wasn't Xbox like actively trying to like fix the multiplayer?
Yes.
Wasn't that like...
Yep. They turned the servers back on.
Yeah.
That was one of the big things. They added servers to it.
Yeah.
Last summer, and they gave it the FPS boost and everything else. Like, you can make the argument that the Xbox consoles are the only place where you can play every single Call of Duty ever made because of backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that on any other console. So I would be seizing this opportunity. I don't understand why like the OG Call of Duty 2, maybe Finest Hour 3, even into like 4 cannot be on this service right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no good argument for it.
Yeah.
So
I would say anything pre Xbox One should be on the service at least.
I would make that argument as well, to be completely honest with you. I would also make that argument. All right. We got one other story. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Elden Ring Night Rain is coming out May 30th, and it is only going to be $40. That is going to sell a lot of units.
Yeah. Not that collector's edition though.
$40. That collector's edition is gorgeous though. I can't even be mad. That is a sick ass collector's edition.
Bandai Namco store exclusive, apparently.
I kind of like that because I think it restricts like people who can just like buy it to resell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can actively monitor who's buying them. You can't just buy like 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that a little bit more, and I think you're going to see more and more of that as physical games become rarer. They're going to do more and more collector's editions through these stores. Like, you know, Xbox has been doing these upgrade tracks for their games to play them like 5 days early. We do have actually one other story now that I think about that. But I kind of like how Xbox has been doing it because when you do that, you're also usually getting DLCs with it. The Avowed one is the first one. The Avowed and South of Midnight ones, I kind of looked at and I was like, I don't think I need these. Then I remembered that my partner's going on vacation for like 5 days, so I got the Avowed one so that I can play it over the weekend.
Nice.
The only other thing that I have on here that we should probably talk about, South of Midnight previews came out this week.
Yeah. Cool.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm actually really surprised at how good these previews are sounding. Yeah. That pretty much everybody is like, the characters, the world, the animation, the sound, it's all fascinating. The combat's a little lacking. I think we all sort of expected that, but they also said, hey, we only got to play a section that's like real early in the game, like 3 hours in.
Yeah.
Still no idea what a fucking Weaver is, apparently, to people who played this early. But I do look forward to playing South of Midnight. That is only, oh god, we're less than 2 months away now. We're
Yeah.
about 6-7 weeks out from it releasing. I'm very excited.
Yep. It's coming up fast.
Yep. Compulsion, man.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
Compulsion.
It's going to be good. As someone who desperately wanted We Happy Few to be good,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be much better than that was.
God, it has to be. It absolutely has to be. So yeah, that'll be the next game in a very stacked spring for Xbox and for Game Pass in particular. I was looking at what's coming to Game Pass. You have Avowed coming out this next week.
Mm-hmm.
You have Atomfall coming. You have Tower Worn coming at
Yeah.
some point. You have South of Midnight. You have Doom. You have Expedition 33. There were like one or two other games on there. Citizen Sleeper 2 just came to Game Pass. I know that's not like, oh, it's one of these like massive games, but like that's
I
a
don't know.
pretty big
People really
indie.
liked that first game.
That first game is fantastic. Arguably one of the best indie games of the generation so far. So I think they've just kind of nailed this slate. Like it is less games, but I feel like the quality is now going to be there because you're getting the first party games. So
Yeah.
if that's the trade-off to get less third party stuff, and like maybe it's like older games, like Far Cry 4 came back to the service this past week.
Yeah.
Sniper Elite just came out. The new Sniper Elite was on there. Those are the kind of games like, hey, if you want to go throw Sniper Elite on there, I'll happily play it. I'll happily play that game for a few nights.
Yeah. I also think like I don't think you need 1,000 games every time they announce. Like if you have like 3 or 4 quality games come out like every
what do
couple
we
weeks,
always
like,
say? Quality over quantity.
It's because nobody has all this time to play every single one of these games, right?
Nobody.
So like why
Not a single fucking person.
Yeah. So like why even try to like do that,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of all of this.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good slate for the spring. I'm really interested in Atomfall. I kind of forgot it was happening. Low key, the week that comes out in March is secretly really stacked. I think it's Atomfall. There is First Berserker Kazan is coming out that week. And there were one or two other games that I was seeing. Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out that week. It was a pretty busy week. I was like, oh my god, I just don't understand why everything is releasing the third week of March.
So everybody gets their numbers out before this fiscal quarter's out over.
So from the 14th of March through the 27th, you have WWE 2K25, MLB The Show 25, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Bleach Rebirth of Souls, Tales of the Shire, Atomfall, First Berserker Kazan, and that's it. That's 8 games that people are looking forward to. You can take Bleach out of there. Okay, you can take an anime game out of there. That's still 7 games that people are excited to play.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking games.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of games.
That is a lot. Also, Dungeons of Hinterberg coming to PS4 and PS5 on March 13th. Go play Dungeons of Hinterberg. It's great. And earlier in the month, you have Split Fiction. You have the Suikoden remakes coming. We are now at the point where things are just getting crazy. There is a release almost every single week from now to the end of, from now until South of Midnight. That is like, yeah, there's probably a game coming out almost every week that I want to play.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the technical release, because like this week we saw Civ 7 come out, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was last week, Avowed is technically next week, episode 1 of Lost Records is next week, King of Fighters, there's new King of Fighters coming out, Like a Dragon, Pirate, Yakuza, Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm personally excited for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection coming to the Switch. That is a lot of the Japanese games that have never come to America before are coming out on a cart for the Switch. Very excited for that. We just went over all of March, and then going into April, South of Midnight, and then you get to breathe a little bit, but it's going to pick right back up at the end of the month when you have Expedition 33, you have Fatal Fury, there are games coming out. Days Gone Remastered comes out that month. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes out. Dune: The Dark Ages is in May. Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which those are now coming to Xbox on day one. Finally, we got the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. That issue got fixed.
Yep.
Debating if I want to grab it or if I'm just going to say, yeah, fuck it, I'm mad about this still. I'm going to go buy it on the Switch, which is where I was going to play it anyways. The Onimusha 2
it's on sale right
remaster
now.
comes out. Elden Ring Night Rain, like Elden Ring Night Rain and Lost Soul Aside both come out on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a choice.
It's something.
It's a choice. I mean, Metal Gear and Shinobi come out on the same day. Hell is Us is a week after that. Borderlands is at the end of that month. I'm still waiting to know when 33 Immortals is going to release this year. Still very impatiently waiting on that and Towerborn. But it's going to be good. Like, no matter where you play games at, like there is a lot coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
But I think that about does it for us tonight. I don't think there's anything else I have.
Yeah, I mean,
you have anything else?
There wasn't really. I mean, aside from the state of play, there wasn't really a lot of Xbox news.
We're in Q1. There's not, outside of Developer Direct, there's really not a lot. But the good news is there's some really good releases. So
yeah, I mean, we're gonna
hopefully
be
on the next
games.
episode we can do an Avowed review next episode.
Yeah,
that's my plan at least.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, Josh, you playing anything before we get out of here? Besides
Avowed.
Avowed.
I'm playing Avowed. I of course, new Destiny season is going. Did the new dungeon there. You guys can hear all about that on Tower Casuals. I have been other than that, man, I'm just playing Marvel Rivals. Still really enjoying Rivals.
Nice.
And playing the Terminator event in Black Ops.
Oh,
there's a Terminator event. Yes,
was not expecting to hear that come out of your mouth.
Ninja Turtles are also coming to Black Ops 6. So
what?
Yeah, that's maybe the weirder one.
God, man, now I'm gonna have to re-download it. Anytime Ninja Turtles comes to something, Josh, I gotta get it.
Ridiculous.
I bought the turtle skins for Fortnite, and I haven't really even played since.
You need to be. I know you need to be stopped.
Oh man, the only thing that could match that at this point would be Power Rangers.
Jesus Christ! Give a Power Ranger an AK,
which makes more sense. They use guns.
It really does. But
oh man, all right.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, I'm not playing a lot right now. Just a lot of stuff going on, like outside of games.
Yeah.
And I really haven't had a whole lot of time for games, but I have Sniper Elite downloaded. I really want to get to that. Nice. Game Pass game. Really want to get to that one.
Yeah. Oh, good times, huh?
Good times, man. Just busy times.
Yeah. Busy times.
Yep.
I'm
what about you? Are you playing anything?
I am finishing up Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Okay.
Which I am having a lot of fun, but also the game, it definitely feels like a game from 15 years ago. But it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It like playing this makes me excited to see what Platinum can do with a new game.
Yeah, this kind of feels like it's do or die for Platinum, honestly, because Platinum is very much on the verge of shutting down.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
But I wonder if, like, in order to keep themselves alive now that Hideki Kamiya is not there anymore, would they be receptive to like a buyout by like Krafton or somebody like that, or Sega, Nintendo? Yeah. Like, would one of those three even Sony, would like one of them step in to save them and be like, hey, we have another Japanese studio now?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Microsoft. I want to be super clear. Just Microsoft got rid of Tango. Why would they go buy a Japanese studio now?
Yeah, I think they're disinterested in Japanese studios at this point. They tried quite a few times, right? But now they're just...
They had an award-winning one, and they decided to close them. So,
yep.
Still upset about that one. Going to continue to be upset about that one.
Yeah. I mean... Nintendo is so picky on who they purchase, right? Like, I don't think it would be them either. Although they're the ones that are the most active with them with Bayonetta.
I think they would do it if only to secure the Bayonetta license.
They don't own it. Sega does.
That is, God, what a weird rights issue that game is.
Yeah. And the only thing that Nintendo used to own that they gave back to Platinum was Wonderful 101.
Wonderful 101, yeah.
And then Astral Chain Nintendo owns outright.
I do feel like Nintendo would be the one to step in and get them, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sony would touch it after Babylon's Fall.
Yeah. Square Enix also crossed my mind because of Nier. But
yeah, but man, Square has just such weird standards, I guess you could say, for everything that I would be afraid they would close down almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like Project GG was delisted from their website.
Yeah.
But really in the last couple of years, like in the last 5 years, Babylon's Fall, Bayonetta 3 and Bayonetta Origins are about the only things that they've really made.
Yeah. And
Astral Chain was 2019.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
It does not feel like it was 6 years ago. I feel like that was like a 2-year ago game.
Yeah. The thing we talked about this on Nintendo Power Block the other day. Not that I want to extend this episode out longer than it needs to be.
That's fine.
We were talking about it on Power Block the other day. Like they one of the producers who recently left Platinum was talking about how they wanted to make an Astral Chain sequel right away, and Nintendo didn't want to greenlight it right away because they don't like releasing more than one game in a franchise on the same console. Like,
yeah,
unless it's like Mario or Zelda. But even like, look at the Mario games we've gotten on Switch, right? It's like we've only gotten one new 3D game and one new 2D game, and
they bookend the console.
Yeah, and 37 Mario parties. And then people do like to point at Zelda, but I'm like, I think people forget that Breath of the Wild's a Wii U game.
It really is. It really is, and it runs like one too. Let's be honest. Yeah. I think in the case of Astral Chain, that's interesting because Astral Chain also like did not sell.
Yeah.
That game had really rough sales. Even compared to other Platinum games on Nintendo consoles, it still sold really roughly.
Yeah. But I think Nintendo was still trying to capture that audience to make them to make people think that they're not just the kids console, right? I mean, that's why they went out and published Bayonetta 2 and 3.
Right? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's, that's obviously been a very beneficial partnership for both parties. Because outside of that, they've had outside of the Bayonetta games and Astral Chain, what else have they done that's been good in the last decade? It's Nier Automata, and that's it.
Yeah.
I have to go all the way back to 2013 to find Metal Gear Revengeance.
Yeah, I mean, I Vanquish, but that was 2010, 2009.
Yeah, like I think we underestimate how much like Bayonetta 2 was really good, but Nier Automata saved that studio.
Yeah, I mean, it just crossed like 7.5 million units sold.
Yeah, that game just continues to chug along, and it's so strange to me. Not that it's not a good game, it's just like I just can't believe it.
Yeah, I have to, because the first one was so niche. That first one was so niche.
Yep.
I do have to say though, I know a lot of people like to overhype games, and I just assumed Nier was one of those games that people were overhyping and just.
Yep.
When I played it, I was like, man, this game's amazing.
That's how I felt about. So I felt that way when it came to Bayonetta. I felt Bayonetta was really overhyped. I remember somebody getting upset with me because I didn't play it on the Wii U. Obviously, I waited till it came to Switch. But people were upset because I didn't put it on a Game of the Year list, and they're like, "Oh, you don't play good enough games. If it's not on there, like you're not playing good games. You have bad taste in games if it's not on there." And I'm like, I'm sorry that I don't own a Wii U, and that game sold abysmally on the Wii U, by the way.
Yeah.
The Switch is really where I think that the general public was like, oh, hey, Bayonetta kicks ass. And it played significantly better, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So, but that's, I digress.
But
get me out of here.
Yeah. I mean, other than Ninja Gaiden, I've fallen into a Fire Emblem rabbit hole for some reason.
Which one?
So I've been playing Engage, which was the 2022 3 game. I don't know, a couple years ago at this point. And what actually got me into that was the mobile game. I was like,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know why. I had this itch to play Fire Emblem, but I didn't want to play like a new one or like replay a 3DS one or whatever. So I'm like, I bet if I download the mobile game and play it for like 10 minutes, it'll scratch that itch and I can just move on.
It did not.
It did not, dude. I've already put like 15 hours into Engage. I've probably put, yeah, I mean, I play the mobile game every night before I go to bed.
I picked up Engage on sale right before Christmas at Staples for $15.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great deal.
For a Nintendo first party title, yeah.
So like when I initially played it, I was like, man, this is not Three Houses, you know, because I was like, I loved Three Houses, but like some of the relationship stuff is different, and you know, obviously the emblem mechanic is different, and they brought back the rock paper scissors kind of mechanics to it, and I was like, I don't know, I'm just not, I was so excited about another Fire Emblem game, especially because like Fire Emblem Warriors had come out too, which was like the spinoff of Three Houses. And after diving into the mobile game, I actually approached Engage from a different perspective, and I'm like, man, this game's amazing. So
yeah, you're back in.
I'm fully in.
I need to play the spinoff from Three Houses. I do have it, but I haven't started it.
It's definitely a Warriors game.
Yeah.
I do think the Fire Emblem ones are the most engaging out of the IP spinoff ones, just because like they do implement the different Fire Emblem mechanics in there, like, you know, the bows do damage from a distance, and you know, the axes beat spears and spears beat swords, and you know, they do add all that stuff in there, and they do add a lot of those mechanics in there, but it's still at the end of the day a Warriors game. Shez is a cool character though. The protagonist of Three Hopes is she. I played the female version, but Shez is a cool character. I just wish she was in a normal game. But anyways,
don't worry, she's gonna be in the next Smash Brothers.
I mean, give me an amiibo and I'm in.
Oh my god!
No, seriously, Shez is secretly probably one of my favorite Fire Emblem characters. But I digress, Josh. Let's go to bed. Let's go home. I want to thank everybody for watching or listening to this episode of Xbox Casuals. After we just got done talking about Nintendo for 15 minutes. You can find us every other Friday on your podcast service of choice. Off weeks, you can find Tower Casuals, our Destiny podcast.
Yes.
We will be talking a lot about episode Heresy in the coming months. Hopefully not half a year like we are expecting, but hey.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you for your time tonight. I hope your sporting woes recover.
They won't.
Did you get your Luka Lakers jersey yet?
No, I did not. I keep going back and forth. I don't know if I'm actually going to order it or not. I feel like if I order it, I'm admitting that it's real.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it just yet, but I probably will by the time the playoffs come. I expect to order one.
Yeah.
So well, I ideally would like to get one before they play the Mavs in Dallas at the beginning of April. I want to get one and get tickets to that game.
How much yellow do you think is going to be in that stadium?
There is a coordinated effort by Mavericks fans to show up wearing Luka Lakers gear and chant MVP every single time he has the ball.
I mean, they should.
And he's not fat. Bring him back. So, yeah. God, it's not bad. It's not bad enough you traded away a generational player. You called him a fat piece of shit on the way out the door and an alcoholic.
Right. What are they thinking?
And then said that Shaq had a better work ethic. Shaq, who was 415 pounds when he showed up for training camp for the third Lakers title, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, man. Cavs got a small forward that works. So
they did. DeAndre Hunter, man.
Yep. For George Niang and Isaac Okoro in like 3 second-round draft picks. So basically nothing.
Yeah, basically nothing. So
you can check us out every other Friday. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye.